Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of DGS. So, I just went back to the menu just to give you an example of what I was talking about with the menu changes. As you can see now, we're in the Japanese courtroom because the last thing I saved, we were in the first case. So, I just wanted to show off this little extra thing that they decided to do with this before we continue on. I believe we're about to see our first witness. I hope I loaded the right file because the other one is actually at the end of the game, so that would be awkward. Very awkward.
Now then, please state your name and profession.
Yes, sir. My name is Hosonaga Satoru. I'm a waiter at the Western restaurant La Quantas. Are you alright? There's something coming from your mouth. It's normal. It doesn't pose a problem for me. That's not normal. Are you sure? It looks like a pretty big problem to me.
It's still fresh in our memories that a few years ago, an area in the southern part of the Imperial City was open as a foreign settlement. It's currently a fashionable district filled with hotels that offer lodging to international travelers. The incident at hand occurred in a restaurant in a particular corner of that district 3 days ago.
Now then, please tell us what you know. Certainly.
I hope that rank amateur posing as an attorney over there will do us the favor of keeping his yap shut.
Right. I'm not posing, though. That day, it was a little after 2 p.m., a time when we don't have many customers. The lunch rush had finished, and there were only 3 groups of customers in the restaurant. That's true, there weren't many customers there beside us. You know, I don't think they even told us what Hosonaga has, but I'm pretty sure it's tuberculosis. It was while I was cleaning up the dishes in the kitchen. A gunshot rang out through the restaurant, and when I dashed out there in a panic, I saw it. The English gentleman, the victim, was slumped in his chair. Beside him was a student, the defendant, standing there with a pistol in his hand. Just a moment, please. It's true that I picked up the pistol that had fallen on the floor, but I wasn't the one who shot him. Then why did you pick up the gun?
Your outbursts are unnecessary. I believe I already said that. Right now, we're simply listening to the witness's testimony. Stupid rookie.
But... Be aware that if you interrupt again, I will have to assign you a penalty.
Naruhodō, there'll be a time for your rebuttal in a moment. For now, just listen to what that man has to say.
Waiter, there's one thing I'd like you to confirm. It was definitely the defendant standing beside the victim with the pistol in his hand, correct?
Yes, there's no doubt in my mind.
So then, was there anyone else besides the defendant near the victim?
No. There was no one there besides the deceased English gentleman and the student. Huh? What did he say? He just claimed that there was no one else near the victim.
What's wrong, Naruhodō?
That can't be right. When I went to say hello to Professor Watson, there was a woman sitting across the table from him.
What's this?
There's no way. The waiter could have missed her. I was told to keep my mouth shut, but what should I do? We're gonna say sir! Being the rookie attorney that we are. One moment, please. At that time, Professor Watson wasn't alone. I'm certain that there was a woman with him at this table.
What a troublemaker you are. What a dishonest thing it is for a defense attorney to interrupt the flow of the court proceedings. To say nothing of that student defendant who isn't even a defense attorney.
But
Waiter, are you absolutely sure your memory isn't mistaken?
I'm certain. The English gentleman was in the restaurant alone at the time. That's ridiculous! I have here a drawing of the way the shop appeared at the time of the incident. You're welcome to have a look. This appears to be a sketch of the crime scene. Due to the fact that we were in the midst of an emergency, I had to draw it on the back of my business card. As you can see, the customer was alone at the time. What an impressive waiter you must be to have taken note of such small details. Also, did I give the judge the English judge voice by accident? Oops. Old habits. Much obliged, Your Honor. Now then, the sketch that you've drawn, I'd like you to submit it, just to be safe. Oh, well... What's wrong? Hurry up and submit it. Certainly. As you wish, Your Honor.
What's going on? He was so composed until just now.
It's true. He looks a little shaken. He looks a little shaken all of a sudden. Hosonaga, stop coughing. You need to get that checked. Sketch of the crime scene on the back. BB. Also, Hosonaga is awesome.
I'm afraid that concludes the case outline.
At the restaurant which became the crime scene, at the time when the gunshot was heard, the only one within point-blank range of the victim was the defendant. The outcome of this trial seems quite clear to me. Defendant, Naruhodō Ryūnosuke. Yes? If you confess to your crime now, some leniency may be granted to you.
In other words, the sentence will be reduced. This man who has provided us with more or less the facts of this case is a witness. If you insist that the trial be continued, I'll have to warn you that the prosecution has prepared a decisive eyewitness.
Hey, Asogi, what do you think I should do?
What do you mean?
Just, if I'm going to be found guilty whether we continue or not, wouldn't it be better if I just confess and take the lighter sentence? I mean, everyone's saying it, right? That this trial is highly confidential. You, Professor Mikotoba, the judge, the prosecutor. I'm afraid of what you'll all say if I insist on continuing.
I told you this from the start. I believe in you. And yet you want to tell me you plan to betray my trust?
But
If a defendant is wrongly accused, it's their lawyer's duty to use whatever means they have at their disposal to prove that. Do you plan to abandon the duty you have to yourself? When the fight hasn't even begun yet? The defense will declare its innocence to the bitter end. The prosecution may as well shut its trap and bring him out. If you really have that decisive eyewitness you mentioned, that is.
it's so cool. What a pal.
Very well.
You may continue with the trial then, Prosecutor Ayuchi.
Foolish youngsters. I didn't think it was possible for anyone to be so lacking in discretion. Be prepared to see the dark side of the usually reputably magnanimous Ayuchi.
Ugh. I'm sorry, I think I might be mispronouncing his name, but I didn't want to say pain.
In the next few moments, I'll shut those cocky mouths of yours forever, little brats. The prosecution moves to have its witness shown into the courtroom.
Bailiff, escort the prosecution's witness into court. Okay, these names are going to be quite a mouthful, and I apologize for butchering them.
Now then, witnesses, please state your names and occupations.
Sir, I am a soldier of this proud empire, Sergeant Uzukamaro Taizo.
I'm a merchant who transmits the values of good old days throughout the Imperial City, and proprietor of an antique shop known as the Crackpot Shop, on the corner of Nikome. My name is Sonahigarashi Saiban.
Saiban? An antique shop and a soldier. What a curious combination.
Seems that these two were both present in the restaurant on the day of the incident.
They must be the third group of customers that the waiter mentioned earlier.
I enjoy one of that restaurant's wonderfully fragrant coffees at a certain time each afternoon. I typically enjoy profound conversations with a select group of people who know how to appreciate my taste in rare treasures as I partake. I have no idea what he's trying to say.
That old man is the owner of an antique shop. It seems he's a regular at La Quantas. He probably looks for customers who look like they're interested in antiques and starts up business negotiations with them. The types of people who can afford to eat lunch at a gourmet restaurant like that are probably pretty wealthy.
I see. But to be honest, that soldier seems like he'd be more a selling type than a buying type.
And these gentlemen witnessed the critical moment of that horrific incident. Are we in agreement on this?
Indeed! Ah, what a blatant, atrocious, inhumanly treasonous act! The soldiers of this nation are always on the lookout. That's right! The schoolboy in that gloomy jet-black uniform let loose the assassin's bullet. There was a missing word there. Also, what was that sound? I have no idea what this guy's saying either. Anyway, I thought I heard a strange noise there at the end.
I thought so. It looks like these two are his decisive eyewitnesses. I saw the moment when you shot the victim. That's what that soldier is saying. How's that? Pretty perfect, don't you think?
To be honest, I wasn't thinking that at all. What were you thinking about then? Now then, let us hear your testimony, gentlemen. Testify about the truth you saw at the moment the incident occurred. Yes, sir! Sergeant Uzukumaro Taizo will now proceed with the report. Oh, the memories of the horrible deed of that afternoon are ones I prefer to forget. Too bad! Stop looking at your piece of, antique pot. What we witnessed. I was enjoying a steak at that restaurant, along with a conversation with this old man. I was speaking proudly on the topic of a rare treasure, swathed in the shimmer of gold. Suddenly, a single gunshot. Startled, I glanced around and then I saw it. That black-suited schoolboy had shot the English gentleman. The cowardice. Suddenly and from behind. I became concerned about the location of my treasure, which had disappeared. I got down on my hands and knees on the floor. What? Well now, soldier, that's what you witnessed. The defendant, using the pistol in his hand to shoot the victim that very moment. Indeed! The detestable criminal was you, the delinquent schoolboy! Oh, to shoot and kill an English gentleman in this day and age. That's ridiculous! I didn't shoot him!
You're telling the truth, right, Naruhodō?
All I did there was pick up a pistol up from the floor. After saying hello to Professor Watson, I went back to my table and had some coffee. I was just thinking about I'd go home and was heading for the exit when I noticed a British-made pistol lying on the floor near the professor's chair. I thought maybe the professor had dropped it. I picked up the pistol, intending to give it to the professor, and that's when...
If that's true, then there must be another culprit. And the key to all of this must be in those men's testimonies. Naruhodō, exercise your right to cross-examine them immediately.
Cross-examine?
Hurry!
Now then, Your Honor, as we just heard, this testimony is indisputable proof of the defendant's guilt. I'd like to request that you bring this detestable college student to justice right away.
Indeed, it does leave very little room for doubt. The court is now prepared to hand down its verdict. What is it? Why the strange, unbearable pause? You need to say something here! No. The defense will exercise its right to a cross-examination.
Oh dear. How sad the sense that the headband boy beside you ordered you to say that.
I guess he's on to me.
The prosecution objects. This is clearly a waste of the court's time. As if someone with no defense experience could conduct a cross-examination.
The defense will exercise its legitimate right. Whether he can or cannot, this right cannot be ignored.
Sogi. That was so cool. He's so cool! Why is he so cool? The coolest defense of the East. Very well. I will grant the defense request for a cross-examination.
Now, this is where the real fight begins, Naruhodō.
But I have no idea how to conduct a cross-examination.
Isn't it obvious? You must expose the lies in these witnesses' testimonies.
What?
You didn't shoot him, so that part's obviously a lie.
That's true, but...
The key to all of this is in the evidence.
Evidence?
Present some definitive evidence that will expose their lies. There's nothing for it but to give it your best shot, Mr. Lawyer.
Understood. I guess my only choice is to prepare myself. What was that, Naruhodō? Why is he so cute? I can't. I was enjoying a steak at that restaurant along with a conversation with this old man. Let's press. They were pressing everything. Thank you for pressing, but you need to say something. What is it? What's with this unbearable pause? I hadn't thought of anything to ask yet. Oh my god.
Why don't you just start by asking something that's bothering you?
Okay then. About the steak. What sort of food is that? Soldier! Oops, okay, I didn't know that was gonna happen. It's a rare delicacy in which cut of calf meat is thrown on a sizzling hot griddle and grilled to perfection. I see. See that you remember this. The second most delicious Western food known to mankind after fried beef cutlets. I see. Understood. So the next thing I want to ask is... What sort of food is a fried beef cutlet? Oh my god, is this really happening? To the trenches! It's a rare delicacy in which a cut of calf meat is lightly coated in white flour and fried to a crisp in oil. That sounds yummy. In the event that you receive a guilty verdict, have it served and have served your time and get released from prison, make sure you try one of these foods first. I see. Understood.
Hey, shouldn't you be asking questions that are more relevant to the case?
Right, understood. I'll give it a try. So, one last question. I was just wondering what those strange sobbing noises are that I keep hearing. Soldier, to the trenches! In any case, we can conclude that the sergeant is quite a fan of fried beef cutlets.
That was quite a useful detail we gleaned.
I didn't realize how difficult cross-examination could be. Lord, I was speaking proudly on the topic of rare treasures swathed in a shimmer of gold. Let's press. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I'm talking about gold coins. Gold coins? The previous day, I received some high-quality hui? Hui? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I don't know Japanese that well. Hui-era goods at my shop. I slipped some into my pocket and headed straight for that restaurant. I might find a consigneur there who would pay a high price for them. That was my hope. So in other words, you were intending to sell these gold coins to, Sergeant Uzukumaru, there beside you.
Ah, I see that you're getting what you're getting at. I see it very clearly. To put it bluntly, you're thinking there's no way a dirt poor soldier like him could afford to buy any gold coins. Is that what you're trying to say?
It seems that you're not satisfied with just murder charges. You want to add defamation as well, don't you, you little brat? Ruination! Death! No, I didn't say anything. But come to think of it, he doesn't look like he has a whole lot of money.
Well, in any case, lunchtime was already over for the day by then. Though at that time, the choices for people in the people in the restaurant who might be interested in what I had to say were basically just this gentleman here who was grappling with a cut of beef.
I see. A single gunshot. Startled, I glanced around and then I saw it. You say you saw... You said you saw then. Me, that is? Yes, that's right. It was you. I'm sure it was. You had that evil pistol trained on the English gentleman, laughing in that unsettling way of yours. That's not what happened. I was just...
There's something I'd like you to confirm for me.
What is it, you little punk?
If we think carefully about what you just testified, it sounds as if you only looked over at the victim's table after hearing the gunshot.
What of it?
In that case, it would mean you didn't actually see the moment when the criminal shot the victim.
Soldier! And then hit the trenches! It was a wave.
Wave?
I felt you give off a wave of bloodlust. Then, just a fraction of a moment before the gun was fired, I saw you. Is that even possible? Do you think a person who can't sense a wave of bloodlust is even cut for being a soldier?
It seems that soldier is truly convinced that he saw you.
This is bad. Okay, shot the English gentleman from behind. This is where we're gonna have to present something, but we'll hold that off for a bit. When you say black-suited schoolboy... Soldier! Quit playing dumb, you clueless brat! Where else could a black-suited schoolboy have come from if it wasn't you? There was this guy standing beside me, for starters. Yes, it was you! I'm sure it was you, you little punk! Imagine, a Japanese boy attacking his enemy from behind! You should be ashamed! Okay, if we looked at the picture, he couldn't have shot him from behind.
Is something wrong, Naruhodō?
Well, I'm not completely sure. There's something about what that soldier just said that made me feel like there was something off.
In that case, you should check the evidence information in the court record. If there's a contradiction there, there's no need to hold back. Shove that evidence in the soldier's face.
Alright, we're done pressing here, and I do not have something here for the time being. So, what we gotta present here on this statement, which is basically saying he shot him from behind. That can't be right because the bullet wound is on the front. Naruhodō... This child... Phoenix Wright's ancestor, everybody! What's this now? It looks like you're shoving a photo in my face, but... There's a contradiction. Yes. The fable contradiction.
What are you trying to say this time? What could possibly be wrong with this photo of the crime scene?
Well, you see, I know what I want to say, but I can't put it into words.
Do you understand now, Your Honor? There's no need for this poser of a student at the defense bench here in our Supreme Court.
What a jerk.
To think you actually require an explanation for something as simple as this. The Supreme Court would get bored listening to it.
Oh my god, this is the first time we hear Asogi's theme? This is Asogi's theme, man! Asogi?
What did you say?
Look at the photo the defense has presented. It's obvious at a glance that there's a huge contradiction in that soldier's testimony.
What?
Sergeant Uzukumaru.
What?
In your testimony, you stated the following. That black-suited schoolboy had shot the English gentleman, the cowardice, Sunleaf, and from behind.
That's right, I witnessed it, with my own 2 eyes. But isn't that strange? What are you trying to say? Because of... Right, Asogi? Oh my god, Naruhodō!
If you'll take one more close look at this photo, you'll see that the victim, Professor Watson, died from a gunshot wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your testimony, the criminal shot the victim from behind, so... How do you explain this contradiction?
I can sit here and listen to Asogi's theme all day long. Ooh, Okay. Was that a... Okay, that was a child! Did he just push down a child? What the heck? I thought I saw something just peek over his shoulder, and he pushed it back down. This is certainly a glaring contradiction. What do you have to say for yourself, Sergeant Uzukumaru? That's right. Now that I think about it, I must admit. To the moment when the gunshot rang out, these two eyes of mine were... Hello, baby! Were fixed firmly upon La Quanta's famous steak.
What's this?
We've just established one fact from that bit of testimony. This witness, Sergeant Uzukumaru of the Imperial Army, did not witness the moment when the victim was shot.
Oh, I can't believe this.
Do you see now? We have no need for poser prosecutors here in our Supreme Court.
Damn it!
With just these handful of words, the whole atmosphere in this court has changed. So, this is a defense attorney. However, I definitely saw it! That schoolboy was facing the victim from behind, and in a most cowardly manner, pointing the gun at him. But I didn't shoot him. All I did was pick up a gun that had fallen on the floor. The older gentleman there, did you not see anything?
As I stated before, I was on my hands and knees on the floor, picking up, not paying attention to any gunshots or the like.
On your hands and knees on the floor, picking up? Picking up what? Well, we're gonna have to find out what he's looking for in the next video, because I believe we are out of time now. So, see you guys in the next part of this court case. And I clicked to the wrong transition. Oops!